Hey guys, so welcome to part 24 of Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver. In the last part, we saved the world from destruction. Well, no, we saved radio. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. We saved radio, that's nice. In the morning, don't have to put on a poker CD, you just put on the poker radio and listen to Oak talk about his jackets or whatever he does a show about. So yes, anyway, now we can go back to our actual quest that wasn't to save the world from radio silence. It was actually to get all the gym badges. So yes, you have to come back to Mahogany Town. And before you ask, yes, you couldn't come to this route before, I don't think. Because to get to the next city, I think it's the city, the next one. Because Mahogany Town is a town, but the next place is a city. But to get to the next city, there's actually no obstacles in the way. You can just go straight there. But there is a guy who just says, "Hey, dude, you don't want to go to that place. It's for dummies. It's not very good. You don't even have to go there." So they do force you to do the Team Rocket thing by just blocking your way to the next city. Because really, you don't get any items that's required to get to the next town or city, or to help you out in your gym quest. So they really did kind of have to force you to do the Team Rocket event, because in the end it's pretty much pointless to do. So this route is actually really boring. It's not that fun. I'm fighting all the trainers I can, because even though I said with the Team Rocket thing I avoided trainers because I don't really need the XP or can't be bothered, I then remembered when going along this route that I absolutely do need the XP, because it's the 8th gym leaders coming up, and I know I'm going to have a hard time fighting him or her. Which gender? What sort of gender is it? That's not the best cliffhanger or scoop or... yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this route's kind of boring. They didn't really do that much to it for the remake. It's just pretty much, you know, nicer graphics. There's a load of trees. Yeah, it's a pretty boring route. So I want to quickly go back to one of the points I was making at the end of the last part, because I kind of had to rush through it because it was the end of the part. But yeah, about cartoony or older kind of villains. And the sort of villains I was talking about is the villains that Disney things or Disney movies used to have. Is that they used to have it where it was just like there would be some sort of silly aspect about the villain or something that makes him a bit quirky, but he was definitely a villain because he was super evil and did really terrible things. Like Scar in The Lion King was like a silly kind of dude that sung about coconuts and all that kind of stuff, but he killed Simba's dad. It's pretty evil. But nowadays with the villains, this is relevant to Pokemon, by the way. I think this is kind of reflected in the Pokemon universe as well with the villains. With the first 2 generations being Team Rocket, you had that same thing. Where even though they were talking about, oh, Team Rocket's gonna, oh, we're gonna do some stuff. And they do some evil things, like killing the Marok, or Cubone's mother, in the first game, and doing evil stuff like that, then cutting off Slowpoke's tails. I mean, they have those evil deeds, but again, they are kind of silly, because they're just Team Rocket, and they're just goofy because of how over the top they were. And then, like, nowadays the villains, they have bigger, more, like, yeah, they have bigger, grander schemes to try and make them seem really evil. But really, they're not doing that much evil stuff. They're just saying, I'm going to take over the universe. And then they're defeated and that's the end of it. So that's kind of reflected in the teams in the Pokemon games. You know, where with Team Aqua and Team Magma, Team Galactic, they had bigger, eviler schemes, but they didn't actually do anything that evil. Team Galactic did. Actually, Team Galactic were actually pretty damn evil, really. This kind of destroys my point a bit. But you know what I mean. If you were a kid who grew up on the old Disney films, like Aladdin and Lion King and all that, you definitely see that the villains are evil. But nowadays, because in general it's reflected in the Pokemon games, like what is suitable for children and what is and what isn't, what should you show your child, how should you tell a story and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually reflected in the Pokemon games to how they tell their stories and have their villains and have it all unfold. So I don't know, I shouldn't probably go on about this. This has got to be the biggest tangent I've ever made in any of my Pokemon LBs, and I've made some pretty severe tangents. So but yes, the only reason I kind of went off in that tangent is that this route is just pretty boring. Same old kind of trainers, nothing that amazing to discuss, same old kind of Pokemon. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad route, but that's just... Lyra, I'm busy! I'm busy. Alright, I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Hang up. Hang up the phone. Hang up the... There we go, that would do. Yeah, this isn't a bad route because of how short it is, and it's really just to get you to the next cave that we're heading to. So because I was bored of this route when playing, I thought, you know what, I'm going to mix it up, because as you remember, the Safari Zone Warden, gave us a ring-a-ding in the last part, so now we can actually do the second test. And one thing I want to point out, I love the music in this place. I didn't really hear it when I was playing it, but looking back on the footage, this music in this place is just so nice and relaxing and just kind of really cool. It sounds like it could fit in a Kirby game just as well, and I just really like it, I don't know. But it's weird because this music really only plays in this place. So, once you go into the Safari Zone, they play the Safari Zone music, so... But yeah, so the music, I really do like it, I think it's really nice and cool. But... Okay, so I mentioned before when we were in the Safari Zone that this is the first time I actually bothered to do anything in the Safari Zone. And I said how much I liked it. But I didn't mention, because I didn't know about it, that there's actually this really cool mechanic where the whole Safari Zone is split into 6 squares, but it turns out that there's this machine where you can add in your own separate squares. In total there's, I want to say there's 12 different squares you can have, each with their own unique Pokemon. So this second test, the whole point is in it is to show that if you want, and if you want a particular sort of Pokemon, you can just switch out one of the squares, put it wherever you want, and then suddenly it's a different area with different sorts of Pokemon. So the Safari Warden wanted a Sandshrew, but the Sandshrew can only be caught in the desert area. So I just added in the square to be the very first square, because I didn't want to wander all around. And yeah, so now we're trying to catch a Sandshrew, and it's really cool. I just really like it. I didn't know about it first time playing this game, but if I did, I definitely would have checked it out sooner. And it's just such a cool idea for catching so many different sorts of Pokemon. And then you get a cool Cubone. I like Cubone, I think he's really cool. You know, he's this tiny little weird thing with a skull, and he's got his little bone. I don't want it to sound dirty, because he is literally just holding his bone, but nothing dirty about that. So yeah, so I do manage to catch the Sandshrew, spoiler alert. And one thing I'm going to say is that I probably won't return to the Safari Zone after this point. Although I think he says there's going to be a third test or something like that, or he's going to give us a call. So yeah, unless there's a third test, I won't be returning here. And I won't be showing off all the different Pokemon you can catch in the Safari Zone, because to be honest, it wouldn't be that interesting, and it would just take far too long. I would definitely, if you want to know all the different Pokemon that you can catch in the Safari Zone by using the area swapper or whatever it was called, it literally came up on screen before, but yeah, by using or going into all the different areas, just go on Bulbapedia. Yeah, I'm sorry that I would like to go through, but there's far too many, and it would probably take me up a whole part just exploring the Safari Zone and showing all the different Pokemon. And that doesn't even include any of the Pokemon that show up only at night. So yeah, that's kind of it. It would be too much of a pain. But needless to say, the Safari Zone is awesome. And yes, I've now realised that music I really like is the Warden's music, which means that it's probably, or I would assume that it's a completely original piece of music. So I mean, it just shows that they're perfectly capable of still writing good music if they wrote the new piece of music for the Safari Zone Warden guy. So, I mean, what happened with all the other music in this game? Oh, I don't want to get into that. But yeah, so that's it for Safari Zone. In case you're wondering what I was doing there, the Sandshrew gets sent to your box, so you have to go, pick him up. So I had to, switch in one Pokemon, switch it out, but for some reason there's not a computer in the Safari Zone gate. Like, you would think if they're going to set these challenges where you have to catch a certain Pokemon, you would have a PC in there to switch out your Pokemon. Although I'm assuming that the logic is that because you don't use your Pokemon in the Safari Zone, then there's no point in you actually, you don't need to switch out your Pokemon to try and catch your Pokemon in Safari Zone. So, And yeah, just for a laugh, I thought I'll show inside an actual Pokemon Center because yeah, because in case you're wondering what Pokemon I still had inside my PC, and as you can see, not that many, just a Geodude for some reason, Sandshrew, Togepi, and oh yeah, the Geodude was the first test, wasn't it? I'm a bit of an idiot. Because there's a weird thing with the PC though, is that you get given three options: withdraw, deposit, or move Pokemon. But the weird thing is that withdraw, all you can do is take out Pokemon. Deposit, all you can do is put Pokemon back in. But move Pokemon, you can do both. So, because when I played these games originally, it's only recently that I started using the move Pokemon option. Because I thought, well, I'd use deposit and withdraw Pokemon, and I assumed that was the only way to do it. I didn't realise move Pokemon meant you could do whatever you want. Like, withdraw and deposit at the same time. I know it's not a very interesting topic of discussion, okay? How to move your Pokemon in the box and in the PC and in Bill's PC, but I mean, it's just weird that the two default ones are withdraw and deposit, even though move Pokemon does everything you would possibly want to do. You know, move Pokemon, so yeah. But that's actually it for this route. That's not it for getting to the next city, but there's nothing else here. There are a few trainer battles. There might be something else here, but nothing worth seeing. And, this is cool. I like this. Because they obviously couldn't just do Rock Cave again. I know they were dying to do Rock Cave again. You can just feel it in Game Freaks, you know. When you play these games, they we could do Rock Cave again. But they actually did Icy Path, which is pretty much Rock Cave, but with ice everywhere. And I actually wasn't going to use a repel in this place to try and show off some of the Pokemon you can catch here. But then I remembered, by this first encounter, that it's just Golbats. And Golbats are one of the most annoying Pokemon to fight in the game. Because Subats are annoying, because they show up so often. But Golbat just has such annoying attacks. And I think it's surprisingly quick as well, so running away from a Golbat can be irritating. And then it just hits you with the Confuse Ray, and then you're just stuck in this horrible battle against this annoying Golbat. So yeah, so sorry that for anyone who wanted to know what Pokemon you could catch in here. You can catch a Jinx in here if you want a hideous ice monster woman for some reason. I don't know why. And yes, I've already said that I like the photograph guy, but look at my squad. Badass group of guys. It's a badass group of guys right there. And I won't talk about the camera guy again, but it's just cool to see, because I haven't gone back to see my photos at any point in the game yet, but I don't know. Maybe I will at the end of the game, just to see how my squad changes the whole time. And yes, one thing, if you watch a lot of LPs of mine, you'll know that I don't get along with ice puzzles. I don't hate them, I just seem to have a really hard time with them, and this ice path is no exception, because this whole place is just pretty much ice puzzles. Although I didn't have as much of an annoying time going through this place as I did in the originals when I was younger. And I think that's both I was younger, so I wasn't as smart as I am now. Now I'm like super genius awesome, and I was just stupid baby back in the day. And B, because I think these puzzles are just easier in this remake. One thing that's quite nice about this remake is the graphics and all that, and of course for the most part the graphics are just, you know, visual, and it doesn't really change anything about the gameplay that much. But in this place it kind of does, because one problem I had with a lot of the problems when playing the first two generations is the graphics and how zoomed in it is. It's a lot more zoomed in the originals than in this one. You can argue with me on that if you want, I don't care, but yeah, with this graphics, with the graphical update, everything's more detailed, everything's more clear, and it's zoomed out, so you can have a lot better idea and picture the puzzle that you're trying to do a lot clearer than in the first generation, or the second one. The biggest example of this is Victory Road, where if you didn't use any repels, yeah, especially if you didn't use any repels, you kind of had a hard time focusing on the puzzle that you're trying to solve, because you were busy fighting off Pokemon, and then because of the graphics, you couldn't really visualize it as well. I don't know, maybe I need to go back and play those originals before making that kind of judgment. But I did feel like, yeah, I did feel like I had a lot easier time doing this puzzle because I could, you know, see it better and visualize it better. And in case you're wondering what the puzzle is, that there's really not that many puzzles in this place at all, or nothing you'll get super stuck in. Pretty much the biggest puzzle here is this room. You need to slide into the middle, but the way the ice works, you just keep going until something physically stops you. So you need to put boulders in the way, so you slide and then you hit the boulders, and then you can slide somewhere else, and you have to get the right angle on that middle path so you can slide onto it, because that's the way to go. So what you have to do is go up here and use strength to push these boulders, which is why I hadn't actually taught any of my Pokemon strength. I guess at the time I was just like, oh, I won't need it. I mean, I knew I would eventually need strength, but at the time it was just like, I mean, I don't know, I guess I didn't have any Pokemon that needed strength, or needed a move like strength, because strength is a really good move. It's one of the better HMs, but it's not an amazing move. That is like, yeah, it's not an amazing move, so I thought, you know what, I'll just leave it until it's required. And, I mean, I guess I could have taught it to E-Rock, and I was actually thinking about teaching strength to E-Rock when I needed to teach it to a Pokemon in Icy Path. But then I thought, well, I'm just really happy with E-Rock's set of moves right now. Defense Curl has come in handy a lot of times, and can come in handy a lot later as well. Magnitude is a really good attack. What are the other two? Rock Blast. Oh god, I still have Rock Polish, don't I? Shoot. Could have got rid of that. Oh, well, you live and learn. What are you going to do? I don't care anymore. I'm over it. So I won't explain exactly how to solve the puzzle. All you have to do is push the boulders in the right way. And the reason why I messed this up the first time is because playing on an emulator and playing on a 360 controller, sometimes it can be a bit generous. Yeah, sometimes it can be a bit generous with how much you move, which is why you probably wouldn't have noticed it, but there are a lot of times where I just run into walls sometimes. And you probably haven't noticed it because my voice is louder than the game volume. But there's definitely been, in most of my Pokemon Let's Plays, a lot of embarrassing dun, dun. I can't really do that noise, because they make a noise when you run into a wall. That's how embarrassing is that? So, makes you feel like a right idiot. So even though I didn't push every boulder down, I still managed to get through. You need that other boulder to pretty much get an item, which I can't remember what it is. It's probably a really good item because I didn't get it now. I reckon that's how it's going to work out, but yeah, I didn't want to waste my time too much in this place on boulder puzzles, on stuff I didn't really essentially need, because weirdly enough we got HM Waterfall in this place, which is pretty much essential to beating the game. So if you saw that item and thought, oh, I don't really need that item, it's just a random item, I'll leave it, then you're going to completely miss out on one of the essential HMs. So yeah, I mean, I knew it was Waterfall, so I made sure I, went out of my way and got it, but you could easily miss it. One thing I want to quickly talk about in this place though is that the music isn't bad, but I felt like they could have done a better job. Like, just a lot better job with the music here. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it kind of feels like a piece of music you would hear going in an icy place, but then it just kind of sounds a bit terrible at the same time. I don't know, it just doesn't sound very good, this music. But we're actually almost out of this place, once again showing just how cool the second gen is when it comes to its puzzles and going through places, and just how easy it is without being, laughably easy. So that's the last thingy girl, Camino girl. Yeah, that's the last Camino girl, so we will be seeing her later on, but not quite yet. So with that, we're actually in Blackthorn City, so I'm going to end off the part. So next time in Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver, we're going to do some stuff in Blackthorn City. So I've been Tom23, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.